Greetings, parish orphans and retrogrades. It is June the 10th, and the Vatican intends in 3 days to release a new document on the papacy. On May the 23rd, I did a show on papal supremacy. I've had a lot of very timely shows recently, and a lot of them have been partly just luck. This one was almost sheer dumb luck, and it was on papal supremacy. So I don't know what this means. It seems to be a far-reaching document for ecumenism. I'm looking at the document catholisch.de in English, english.catholisch.de, and it says, Vatican announces document on the papacy. For around 1,000 years, church leaders in the East and West have been arguing about the supremacy of the Pope. Now the Vatican has drawn up a proposal on how the papacy could be acceptable to other churches. The text could have far-reaching consequences. On Thursday, the Vatican intends to present a document that could have far-reaching consequences for relations between the Christian churches. The text was drawn up by the Pope's Ecumenical office, according to the Vatican press office. The paper is entitled The Bishop of Rome, Primacy and Synodality in Ecumenical Discussions, and Responses to the Encyclical Ut Unum Sint. It takes up an encyclical from 1995 by JP2, the magisterial text, which was groundbreaking for Christian unity at the time, held out the prospect of a new self-image and a different way of exercising the papacy, particularly with regard to the churches of the East. I'll pause here. So ostensibly, this means maybe offering to the churches of the East. This technically could mean the Catholic Eastern rites, but probably the Eastern Orthodox churches, because they can be called churches. Maybe offering them an entree back in. I don't know what our Orthodox friends would say about this. Oh, this is Catholic weakness. This is a capitulation to us, and this proves us, the Orthodox, correct? Or I don't know if they'd say, yeah, this is kind of cool. I will talk about what I think the game is by Francis. At the time, I'll continue, the Pope had invited the other Christian churches to seek ways in which the papal office could be understood as a service of mercy to all churches in a fraternal, patient dialogue with Rome. As a result, the Vatican's ecumenical department set up its own dialogue forums with several churches, with which deliberated for decades. The results are now available. The project was given a further boost by Pope Francis. From the outset, he defined himself first and foremost as the Bishop of Rome. He also decreed the revival of the historic title Patriarch of the West, which had been canceled by his predecessor, Benedict XVI. Let's talk about this for a second. Now, to refer to himself first and foremost as the Bishop of Rome, this means, I mean, he is the Bishop of Rome, but foremost, the Bishop of Rome, this seems to retreat some in the space of papal supremacy. It seems to be a retreat to, hey, I'm the Bishop of the First See, Rome, the Archbishop of the First See, the Archbishop of the Second See, Constantinople, and the other ones, they're Archbishop of their region. This is technically like all Francis stuff. True, but at the same time, he's a kind of fallacy by emphasis. So, and this is proven, the fallacy by emphasis. He also decreed the revival of the historic title Patriarch of the West, which had been canceled by his predecessor, Benedict XVI. Patriarch of the West kind of proves what I'm saying here, that his emphasis seems to be ecumenical and backing off papal supremacy. Now, this is all because patriarchs are the leaders of the 5 Cs, traditionally. This is also meaningful because, well, I mean, like, if we took, like, Unum Sanctum, the Catholic document, not this one, Ut Unum Sint, but Unum Sanctum, it makes dogmatic claims about the papacy. The dogmatic claims don't touch what the Pope's worldly authority must be. However, they do make very specific, infallible claims about what the Pope's ecclesiastical authority must be. So, as always, Francis isn't going to back off on any of those in a hardline way, in a thick way, but in a thin way, expect some back off. That seems to be what this is. The article then asks, is this a renewed form of the papal office? He has also begun to give the Catholic world church a synodal constitution in which the Pope alone no longer makes decisions from above. In the Senate, you guys know all too well about this. We've talked about this lots. In the synodal church envisioned by Francis, bishops, theologians, and lay people will be involved in consultations on fundamental issues of the church. This will make the Catholic Church more similar in its structure and functioning to the churches of the East, which have always had a synodal organization, and the communities that emerged from the Reformation. According to the Vatican, the paper, which is to be presented next week, is a study document that has been approved by Francis. It is intended to bring together the responses to Unum Sint and the ecumenical dialogues on primacy and synodality for the first time in almost 30 years. In the end, the document will make a proposal for a renewed form of papal office that can also be recognized by the other churches. So this sounds like some sort of capitulation to the East. That, in essence, the papacy is merely the first among equals, which is always how the Orthodox have viewed the papacy. Some in the Vatican believe it possible that the Pope could meet regularly with other patriarchs and church leaders on an equal footing, first among equals, is that old expression, for consultations in the future in accordance with the proposal. The text with the suggestions and proposals will be presented on Thursday afternoon by the prefect of the Dicastery of Christian Unity, Cardinal Kurt Koch, head of the Synod Secretariat, Cardinal Mario Gresh. You've heard me talk about him lots with regard to the Synod. The official envoys of the heads of the Anglican and Armenian churches will be connected via video conference. So that's the entire short article. Let's talk some about that. So Francis announces a document on the papacy. They've drawn up a proposal on how the papacy could be acceptable to other churches. The text could have far-reaching consequences. Is this some sort of retreat from Unum Sanctum that ultimately will leave the Catholic Church essentially the way the Orthodox have cast us? I don't know, because Francis works in terms of incrementalism, and it's always hard to say how aggressively incremental he'll be. It's always very, very hard to say. But, I mean, I think it's a realistic possibility. Jay Dyer has long spoken of this 2025 reconciliation movement between the Orthodox and the Catholics. I think it would be done in the spirit of not the right spirit. And I think Jay thinks that as well. I mean, it would be great to reunite with them if we could do so without backing off on any points that we can't back off on. I think he thinks it would be great to reunite. Oh, I'm not sure. But I think the general thinking is this will be bad for both churches if it's done in a way that makes either side look like all along it's been saying phony things and now it's just capitulating. So this is essentially all we know until the document comes out. But I would say to keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled on Thursday when it does come out.